Hello, Centralia. I'm Shane Lothar.
And I'm Rachel Roddy.
And this is Centralia On Air. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week on the show, Centralia Chamber of Commerce Director Marcus Holland joined us again. We talked about the 2018 Home Show, which is going on right now, I think.
Yeah.
So after you listen to us, go out to the rec center, take a couple laps around with the family, get some food, maybe win some prizes, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Doesn't sound so bad. Speaking of homes, did you know that the most expensive home in the world is valued around $1 billion? Wow. It's in Mumbai. It's 27 stories tall. It has a garage that holds 160 cars and a home theater that seats 50 people.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I want to go to that.
How many people live in that home?
Oh, yeah, good question. I think it's just a family.
No. That's crazy. But did you know in Scotland, homeowners paint their front doors red when they pay off their mortgage? Which, mine's white, but I want to paint it red.
Yeah.
I still have 30 years, though.
Yeah, you're going to have to wait a little bit.
So what about your house?
Yeah, that's interesting. Mine is still blue, if you know what I mean. I know red means paid off, but I wonder if different colors mean different things.
I don't know. We should find that out.
You'd think red would mean in default or something.
Right.
Speaking of doors, did you know that brass doorknobs actually disinfect themselves? The ions in the metal have a toxic effect on viruses and other germs, which eliminate the infections within 8 hours.
Yes, I know. Everybody knows that, Shane.
Oh. Okay. Anyways, that was last week. And this is this week.
That's right. On today's show, one of our very own joins us in studio. That's right. X95's Wake Up Call host Matt James stopped by to talk to us about his career in radio and what he likes to do when he's not waking up Southern Illinois every weekday morning. Hey, Matt. Thanks for being here today with us.
Thanks for having me, Rachel and Shane. I really appreciate it.
You know, they say never meet your heroes, but I gotta admit, this is pretty special, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
I grew up actually kind of close to this area in Columbia, Illinois. That'd be like around Belleville, Waterloo, Illinois. Okay. About 20 minutes outside of St. Louis. And I pretty much lived there up until I went to SIU Carbondale for a few years. And I was into mass communications right off the bat, and then switched to journalism. I really liked writing. And then kind of Carbondale ran its course. So I went to Columbia College of Chicago. Also, like, my grandfather was living in Chicago and was old, so it would be kind of like, live with him,
Help him out a little bit?
He helped me out more than I helped him. I was probably, I wouldn't say burdened. I'm just being silly. We enjoy each other's company. He eventually passed, though, and I majored in radio there at Columbia College of Chicago and interned for Talk Radio Network Morning Show and WLUP, The Loop.
Okay.
And those are great experiences. From there, I asked the placement guy to help me out, and he got me a job in Iowa at a really hardcore rock station. And that's how the journey began, I guess.
Okay. So that's how you got started in radio. Do you remember what your last non-radio job was?
Yeah. It's either one of two things. It's either, I'll narrow it down. It's got to be truck driver's assistant. It was a summer job I had, and I would just drive around with the truck drivers, and people would donate stuff and fill their driveways full of stuff, and I would load the trucks up. Sometimes, depending on who the truck driver was, they would help you or not. Mm-hmm. And I mean, up until that point, I'd have a couple months stints here and there at pizza places and get fired because I didn't care. But I would say radio was the one thing I actually I cared about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was interesting to me. It was fun. It was this whole new world of possibilities. and just very fascinating, a multifaceted industry. Yeah, after doing that job for a summer, I started taking school a little bit more seriously. I was never like a bad student, but I mean, at SAU Carbondale, yeah, I had a good time. I would schedule my classes after 12 p.m.
Right.
So I took it more seriously and got on the path of that path. So
Wow, I didn't know about that truck driving job. That's cool.
it was pretty bad. It was.
Yeah, I don't think cool would be the word. Hard work.
It was cool that I maintained it and didn't lose it. I mean, that was one thing that was cool about it. But it was a summer, and you're like in your early 20s, and you're going to bed at 9. It's
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So, as a kid growing up, did you have any favorite radio stations around?
I'd have to say, and it's changed throughout the years, but when I first started to listen hardcore, would be probably KPNT in St. Louis, The Point. And then they've had a variety of really interesting morning shows. But in the 90s to early 2000s, mid-2000s, I thought it was a very cutting-edge station with cutting-edge on-air personalities. Carried the Howard Stern Show until he went to Sirius XM. And even before that, though, they had a lot of unique stuff, a lot of cool events, and it was just it exhibits like a kind of rock star lifestyle, and it was alluring, you know. And I've always kind of have a soft spot for that station. My mom was really into radio. As she got older, a conservative radio. She listened to 97.1 Talk. I mean, she'd be making food and have the radio blasting. She listened. My whole family's into sports. So they listen to the Cubs games, they listen to the Bears and stuff. So it was always like a kind of a big part of my life. So I don't know, it seemed like fun and easy, and those times and stuff just was, they get implanted into your brain. So when you go what am I going to do? It's like, why not that?
It's kind of like you were destined for radio.
I don't know about that. I mean, it's prevented me from being a burden on my family. So,
Okay, so how long have you been here at X95?
I will be here 3 years in September.
Okay.
So I started in 2018 now. So it'll be 3 years in September.
What makes X95 unique or different compared to some of the other stations you've worked with?
For me, X95 is unique in my certain situation. Is I've never been in the situation to have almost complete control over the morning show content. I'm allowed to schedule the music. I'm allowed to do a lot of cool stuff. Never had a morning gig before either, so that's like a big thing. It was really important to get a morning show because a lot of my heroes were morning personalities.
Right.
I think X95 is a great station and a great format. I think this area, desperately needs the hot AC top 40 thing going on. I think we're really, really connecting with our listeners now more than ever. We have a lot of, we just had our Listener Love giveaway. We've had a 12 Days of Christmas. We have, the Holiday World thing we do in the summertime. Our listeners, they come up to us at remotes and stuff, and it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling that I enjoy what you do. You don't normally get that,
Right.
at other jobs.
Right.
Obviously, it can go the other way, and
Sure.
it can. But it's like you're serving this community, and that's like something we get to have that the St. Louis stations, don't. We get we pick up where they leave off.
Right.
And we do great with the orphans. Orphans are huge for us. A lot of sports stuff we do, and it's just an interesting time to be here, and it's a interesting time in radio, and it's just a very unique situation, and I really appreciate having it.
It is nice when people come up and talk to us, though, and say, hey, we appreciate what you do, or we listen to Matt every morning.
Or just when they come in and win a prize, and they're like, "You're my favorite station." It's like that. I mean, it means a lot. It just does.
Yeah.
Because you don't always get feedback, and with social networking now, you tend to get a lot of negative feedback more easily than positive feedback because it's easier, to be a troll kind of in this day and age.
When you feel like you're connecting with people.
Yeah.
And then they actually realize, oh, wow, that's Matt James. I listen to him every morning.
They're into it.
Yeah.
And that's rewarding. And that's like something you can't put, I guess, a price tag on, sort of, to be cheesy maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's your favorite part about your job?
I would say, honestly, the whole on-air aspect of it, being live and doing the show, I don't want to sound like pretentious and say it's an art form. It is sort of like performing, and I guess that's sort of what I get out of it. Mm-hmm. It's like you got a minute to a half to 2 minutes to impact someone, and it's like you did it, and you're happy with what you did, or you're not, and you throw the headphones like you saw me do the other day. But it's just because you're passionate, and then you just, you're not happy with like the topic you just discussed or how you broke it down. Show must go on.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties, show must go on. And that aspect I love about the whole thing. But just something about being there in that moment in time that you cannot like replicate. Like either you're there or you weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what like I think is very special. And either you blow it or you don't.
It's the electricity of being live.
Yes, it makes it different.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of like recorded stuff, and it's good and it's great. But yeah, that knowing that you could just torpedo that, and when you do like make mistakes in anything, and I'm not even talking about on air, is any kind of performance, you just gotta kind of like not let it get you down. Just like, okay, learn from it. It makes it. It just is a whole process. It's just a kind of continuous. Like that's why it drew me to radio. Is like it never stops. Like no matter what you turn it on, it's there. Mm-hmm. So like that's what a big draw for me, and that's what I like about the morning show and hosting it. It just seems like we're doing very well. The stations are doing very well, and we got a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. So I listen to you every morning, and I do. And I know that your morning show, your celebrity trash gossip every morning that you do at the same time. And I know either I'm late for work or I'm on time whenever I hear you say that. So tell everybody where you find all your show prep and how you use to get your information. How does that work? How do you do that?
Without leaking any secret sauce.
The answer in a simple term is it's nonstop.
Yeah.
You could be trolling Facebook or trolling Twitter, and you find, oh my God, that's immediate. Every obvious news out. I don't want to name any of them, but you can imagine. Mm-hmm. I deal with a lot of like entertainment, pop culture stuff. So nothing like really hard news or anything like really really serious. So it's kind of easy to find that stuff that's not as slanted as much that can be sure. That people would argue these days. But it's just, I get up and you turn on the news right away. You see what's going on. We have, every morning show has prep services and prep pages. A lot of those aren't as timely because they're in the can, at a certain point. The most important thing is just like the other day when they announced the Oscars, I was like, just found out like 5 minutes ago. So boom, we get it on the radio. Obviously, that wouldn't be in like some prep service because It wouldn't be until the next day. So it's just always being aware of what's going on, always being aware of what's going on in the news, what's happening in pop culture, and deciding the difference between, what someone would care about versus what is just like nonsense fodder. Trying to decipher what people need to hear. And sometimes in that segment or other segments, I'll put in something that's not as well known because, everyone knows about something already. It's already been addressed. I've already addressed it. So in that segment, some 80s person or some 90s person, it's just, you always want to give people something they don't know. You don't want them to be like, oh yeah, I've already heard that. And we've discussed that it's almost impossible, Shane, to be that these day and age with the internet. But what we also discussed is it's the commentary, it's the spin, it's the delivery of it, which is changing because you have someone that's like, I don't need a weather forecast. I'll just look at my app. I don't know about you, but I'd like to see the guy explain it to me. Not, like when and where. So that's just, my view on that. And another thing what you said is you're late for work or you're not late for work. So it's like it's become a tradition for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And someone else said that to me. Was that one of your friends?
Yeah.
At our Halloween parade?
Yeah.
So it's become Like, you know what
That's
I'm saying?
our morning routine.
Right. It becomes part of your routine. It's like, at this time this happens, at this time that happens. And either you like it or you don't. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that's like, I don't care, you know, what happens in Hollywood.
And, you know, I really never did care. I never followed all that stuff. But every once in a while, you know, I hear you talk about it, and it's a quick, like, you know, 2-3 minutes at the most, maybe not even that. It's just like quick, what happened. It's like, oh, that's interesting, and you go on. It's not long and drawn out, and, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. Is you want to get you're fighting for someone's attention. You got other technology that you're fighting against, so it's a desperate grab to hold on to somebody. I mean, it's enjoyable. It can be like hard.
Okay, so speaking of that, I'm going to ask you something here, but you're listening to Centralia on Air. We have Wake Up Call host Matt James in studio today. So what I was going to say is there is kind of a radio is dying, radio is on its way out kind of mentality out there, right? With Pandora and Spotify and others. So what would you say to someone?
I'll tell you this. Radio has been dying since I was a kid. I mean, according to people who think they're smart, they said, you know, when they put in 8-tracks in the cars, that no one's going to put up with the radio anymore, and the nonsense and all the talking, and then the internet radio was in its infancy, and so people started making their own internet stations, and like we're gonna take down radio, and then, you know, the Sirius XM was a big deal, and like that was going to destroy radio. No more of this radio nonsense. We gotta, you know, now you can pay to, you know, hear, you know, exclusive content. Okay, so radio is always going to be picked on. It seems like it's always picked on. Everyone always wants to be like, you know, I don't listen to the radio, and radio like appeals to the masses. Like, if I could play whatever I wanted, it would, you know, it would only probably make me and maybe a few other people happy. It serves like the mass. It serves Centralia, not just Jeff so-and-so who wants to hear some Metallica song that never has ever been played on the radio. Like, that's the argument. When I was working in Iowa, it was a rock station, so it was Rob Zombie had a new song out, and you know, it lasted like 3 weeks, like every other Rob Zombie song. That's neither here nor there. A guy called me up, and he said, I want to hear the song. He said, I don't have it on my iPod yet. That was another one. iPods are going to kill radio.
Sure.
Okay, see what that happened. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying all that stuff's nonsense. I'm just saying, like, hear me out. So he's like, I want to hear the new Rob Zombie song. What? And he's like, it's not on, you know, it's not on my iPod yet. I'm like, okay, well, I'll, you know, you say the typical, I'll try to get it on when I can. And especially a night crowd, in a rock night crowd, they're rough. So he told me the iPod was going to take, you know, my job. And, you know, to heck with you, buddy. Like, I'll get it on my iPod. I don't need you. And it's like, well, why don't you have it then?
Right.
You know, radio gets music first, and it reaches the majority of the country. 93% of people are listening to the radio on a weekly basis, and it's gone probably from like a stronghold to a lower stronghold, but it's not like, you know, irrelevant by any means. It will be around for a very long time. Is it going to be like how it is now? No, nothing ever stays the same. I would argue that TV's dying over radio. I mean, the NFL is the most watched thing on TV, and people are complaining how bad those ratings are.
Right.
Everyone, like we talked earlier, is an on-demand, you know, on-demand culture is what we have. And when you have radio and you have live radio, you can, you know, you have that essence of capturing stuff live and being in the moment, like I said. But the way to combat the on-demand stuff, radio stations, you post shows as podcasts. You post features to meet the consumer, the person who's, you know, I have no patience. I'm not going to sit here and listen to Kesha when I want to hear, you know, this. I mean, the old days, you know, I requested a song, like, you had no choice. You had to wait if they played it or not. But now it's like you can just YouTube it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So its role has changed, and its role will continue to change. but the medium is too easily accessible, and you don't have to pay for it. And Pandora and Spotify, I will not mock those services, or Apple Music. I will not sit here like other radio people and deny technology's existence, or even Sirius XM. It's a special crowd. It's a special kind of person. It's Sirius XM. They want a niche. You know, they have certain features. So basically, you know, radio appeals not just to a certain segment with demographics, but a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like you please the masses. You play the hit songs. You talk about what's important. You don't have some weird, like, you know, fantasy Dungeons and Dragons show. I mean, that's like what podcasts are for, and that's great. That's evolution. Radio comes together with that, though, because I can't think of a morning show besides my own that doesn't like have its podcasted. Mine's music. It would be kind of silly, but like those talk ones, like you can download those. It's just changing. Phones have been a big part of our lives. A lot of radio stations have apps, and you know, we keep growing and growing and are getting, you know, you just got to adjust with the times, and it's just not radio. It's just anything. If you don't adjust with the times, like newspapers, where do most people read their news? Online. But you're still going to the newspaper's website. There's still someone writing that article. It's just not like an actual paper. Sure. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and another thing, I keep bringing up our private discussion, Shane, but we have told you, like, take a radio out of someone's car. Give somebody a car without a radio. Like, I don't need it. I got all my gadgets. It's like, you will regret it.
They'll flip out.
You will regret it when you hit a dead spot. So I don't think it's dying. I think it's adjusting to the times. I think it's a painful process for probably a lot of people because it's being consolidated with a lot of automation. I'm very blessed to have come as far as I have, but yeah, you just got to adjust with the times, and that goes with anything. And I think radio is, people focus on radio, you need to focus on TV, because like Netflix, Hulu, I mean, YouTube's got its own stuff coming out. That's where, like, I would say the problem is. So
what's that expression? Radio is the cockroach.
It's a cockroach of media. Because ever since its inception, everyone always said, it's going to die. Because, in the old days, like in the 30s and 40s, you'd gather around and listen to the radio, and that would be like, you know, the equivalent of watching, like, your favorite TV show. And then, who wants to listen to stuff when you can watch it? The difference is the cars. Once, you know, they're in cars, you take it with you on a journey, which is different than just, like, listening to it at home. There's a lot of people who listen to it at home, but it makes that commute, like, you know, whether you're going to work, whether you're coming to work, whether you're taking your kids to school, whether you got to go into the city or something, it's something that it's there for you. It's, you know, it's more appreciated than I think people will let on, you know. Okay,
so Matt, when you're not at work and listening to Top 40, what do you listen to?
I'm a rock guy. I grew up listening to mostly alternative rock music. Spent like many summers going to Ozfest. My tastes have changed, though. There's not too many like new rock groups that I think that are that great. However, like rock as a whole, as a genre, is amazing. But I was, in high school, I was a kid with like the Slipknot shirt, or you know, it's just kind of like everyone goes, not everyone, but a lot of people go through those phases. I would say rock. Rock would be my first love, but it's kind of slowly changing to
Sure.
I just anything, you know. I mean, my first station, I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. They play like every song I love, but I'm kind of starting to realize like maybe I'm too old. I don't know. It's just like
he's growing up.
No, just too much of that. Like, I don't know. They say rap is the #1 format now. It's taken over rock.
Oh wow.
Think of a new rock artist that's come out in the past 3 years that's like playing stadiums.
Right.
I mean, everyone that's like a headliner is like from the 90s,
2000s.
Or if that.
Anything we'd be surprised to find on your personal playlist? Any guilty pleasures?
I was and I am real into 80s music. I'm not embarrassed of it. I just, something about the 80s, that new wave, or, you know, I think it's cool. Maybe it's the nostalgia of it, or just I wasn't really alive for it. But yeah, I just really, especially in college, got really into like 80s music. In college, a lot of times you kind of like pull out from like what's going on around you and just kind of like do your own thing. And yeah, it was just,
a lot of people would probably agree with you.
I think the 80s was the last great decade. No, I don't know.
There's a show.
There's a show.
Maybe the 90s.
This is Centralia on Air. Shane and Rachel here, and we're talking with Matt James, host of the Wake Up Call on X95. Do you have any radio mentors? Do you have any people who have influenced your career? I mean, I think I know one, maybe two, that you've talked about before. Who got you to where you are? Oh, that sounds weird.
Nobody?
Who?
Who drove you here today?
Yeah.
My mom. What you're talking about would probably be like people you look up to. Actual mentors, people who actually worked with me, would probably be my boss in West Virginia. He really taught me a lot about production and imaging and stuff. And he really took me under his wing. It was a unique environment, and he had my back. We had a lot of great discussions about the business. That particular person has been in and out for about 25 years, and is still going. I still talk to him now. He's sad that I left, and that's always a good thing when people are sad that you escaped. He was at my wedding though, so like we're still on good terms. I would say not enough people are mentoring these days though.
Yeah, so the flip side of that, what advice would you give to people who are kind of new to the radio biz or want to get in?
I would say don't take anything personally. And when you're first starting out, work your first job at least 2 years. In the old days, and what I was led to believe was everyone just like moved around. Like you're a traveling sideshow. Like you'd work a year somewhere, you work a year somewhere else, you get fired, then you go in and with the automation and consolidation, it's not as easy just to jump ship and go like from East Coast to West Coast in a week. Mm-hmm. Those are kind of the old days. So my advice would be is stick around as long as you can. Try to like not get egotistical. Try to learn as much as you can. Always try to learn. Never think you know everything, because it's always changing. And be supportive of other people. Don't ever look down on a job, because it might be your only way in. It might not be glamorous. That's another thing, is a lot of people think it's, glamorous. And it is, it can be. But a lot of it's, hard work and not glamorous. And some people, like I just want a show. I don't want to like start out board hopping games. It's boring, So I'd be like, just cherish what you have. Try to move up. And if you can like learn one thing from one person that you have to work with, then that would be like a goal I would tell somebody. One thing, one positive thing that can help you, not negative.
No, that's good. That's good. What are you doing outside of work? Any hobbies? You're kind of a movie buff, right?
Yeah, I love movies, and I like going to concerts a lot. I like live music, and that's pretty much it. I mean, obsessed with Law and Order SVU, as you know, Rachel.
Yes, me too.
Everything, it's just different. It just depends on what's going on. I just saw The Killers, which was really good. I got family that's like an hour away that I hang out with all the time, my brother and his wife, and we do miscellaneous things, like go to festivals, or not even just music festivals, like beer fests. Or what I've noticed is you think like a lot of radio people would be extroverts and party animals, and some are, but a lot of them, in my experience, are introverts.
Really? Because
they're always on, or they're always, they'll be at some bar doing a remote, and their free time is kind of like you shut off from the world.
Pull it back in a little bit.
And I've noticed that from the older guys I've worked with who've been doing it 25, 30 years, they kind of don't do anything. It's just, I don't know if that's what it does to you, or you just, it's like you can only go to so many concerts and go backstage before it doesn't mean anything. But when you're first starting out, that blows your mind. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And
okay, so Matt, I know you're doing some stuff on social media. Where can our listeners go to find you on there?
You can go to my Facebook fan page, at Matt James Radio on Facebook. Twitter, I don't know if I can remember all of it. Instagram is the Matt James 08. Twitter is at mjamesontheair. Twitter. Snapchat, Izzy Broadcast 84. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm not good at branding, so I don't work in marketing or promotions.
You gotta fix that.
You got to fix that. But
Yeah,
yes,
so add him.
yeah, add me, and I won't harass you or annoy you. Usually a couple posts a day. I know some people are upset with how many times certain people post sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming, but
But I'm always on the X95 Radio Facebook page, too, with, keeping people up to date with stuff.
yeah, you want to listen to something in the morning?
Yeah, I mean, request, message us, post a request. 553-5736. I never really turn down requests unless it's something that we simply either don't have or is just you're being ludicrous by asking for it. Not Ludacris the artist.
Hello.
But
Hey.
All right, we have Wake Up Call morning show host Matt James in studio today. If you're just waking up to Matt's voice right now, congratulations. You got to sleep in today.
Woohoo.
When we come back, we're going to ask Matt some trivia questions about something not at all related to his job. You're listening to Centralia on Air. We'll be right back. Shane and Rachel here. This is Centralia on Air. We have X95 Wake Up Call host Matt James with us today. All right, Matt. We know that 5 days a week, people wake up to you in their homes, so to speak. You know all about getting up early, but what do you know about falling asleep? Question 1, true or false? People get less sleep because of full moons.
True.
That is correct.
Ding, ding,
True.
ding, ding.
There was a study that showed that humans get less sleep and less deep sleep around a full moon, even if they're sleeping in a windowless room.
There's something about the moon. I mean, it goes back to like the Wolfman, and I'm not saying that's true, but I mean, every time I talk to a police officer and they're like, "It's a full moon." I'm like,
Watch out.
Yeah.
Oh, my wife is a teacher.
Yeah.
She always knows.
Yeah.
There's something in the air,
Yeah.
it messes with people.
Right. All right, question 2.
All right.
Another true or false? You burn more calories watching TV than you do sleeping.
False.
It's true.
It is because you're actually awake and functioning.
In 20 minutes, a 150-pound person can burn about 18 calories while watching TV.
That's great to know. Then I'm doing great.
But only 15 while sleeping. Perfect excuse to binge watch another episode of Shameless.
Or Law and Order SVU.
Or SVU.
I taped some yesterday, so I'm gonna lose some weight.
Lose some weight and watch some SVU.
Yeah, I'm not going to the gym. I got my own thing going.
Okay, question 3. Everybody sleeps.
You got a question?
Wow.
Even animals need to sleep. But the amount they need varies wildly. A giraffe can get by on less than 2 hours a day, which is kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
But what about a tiger? How much sleep does a tiger usually get per day? Is it 4 hours, 10 hours, or 15?
Well, is it a tiger in the zoo or a tiger in the wild?
Yeah, let's exclude zoo animals because
All they do is sleep, yeah.
All they can do is lay around and sleep. Let's go with a out in the wild tiger.
I would say, based off this not knowledge, but just my reasoning, is that a tiger is out in the wild and it's dangerous and they probably can't sleep 15 hours. I would probably say 10 would be too much, so 4.
I steered you the wrong way with the zoo thing.
Really?
It's 15.
Wow, how did
Yeah.
they get away with that?
Right? I guess because they're higher up on the food chain, right?
Yeah, I guess if you're a smaller animal, you get less sleep.
Python snake, 18 hours.
I believe that.
Ugh. Okay, question 4.
I believe all of it. Not that I'm calling you a liar.
I believe that one, not the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, question 4.
Yeah.
Little kids tend to be early risers, but as adolescence and puberty sets in, people tend to wake up later. What percentage of teenagers are thought to be sleep deprived? 20%, 50%, or 75%?
50%.
Ding, ding, ding.
Really?
Got it.
You're right.
All right.
It's all thanks to those late nights and early school times. Start
Yeah,
times.
because you're out all night, and then if you go
Waking
to
up
school,
to Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Our faithful listeners should know the answer to this one. A few weeks ago, we had our health and fitness guru, Jamie, on the show, and we asked her this question. Which would kill you first? No food or no sleep?
No food.
Sleep.
Really?
Yeah. Death by starvation can take a few weeks. But as far as how long you can go without sleep, it's around 264 hours. It's about 11 days.
Wow, I learned something.
Yeah.
This was worth it.
It's actually a world record set by Randy Gardner in 1965. 4 days into the research, he began hallucinating and starting to pretending like he was a famous football player.
There's a guy who did a show called Coast to Coast, Art Bell. It was all about aliens. It was maybe in the middle of the night. It was syndicated. He set a record in Alaska for being on air with no sleep. I don't know how long it was. I don't know any of the statistics, but it was like multiple days just straight.
Wow.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't over 11, though. I hear you'll die.
Probably wasn't a good broadcast either.
Right?
Yeah, day 4, he might have been. Matt James, thank you so much for being here today and playing along with us. We hope to have you back again.
Yes, thank you so much. I enjoyed it, and thanks, guys.
Stick around. We'll be right back. You're listening to Centralia On Air.
Shane and Rachel here. You're listening to Centralia On Air. Rachel, how's it going? How you been?
Oh, you know. Same old, same old.
Yeah.
Been better. Had better weeks.
Yeah, well.
What about you?
Pretty good. I've been watching the Olympics a lot. I mean, why not, right? It comes around every 4 years. Might as well.
That's what's on.
I go home, I turn it on. It's on the whole night. I flip back and forth because there's NBC and then there's NBC Sports.
Oh.
And they show different things. So if you don't like one thing, just
Switch
flip.
to the other.
Yep, there you go. Have you watched any?
Yes, I've been watching. I like the ice skating part of it, so I watched that the other night.
Yeah, Lily's been running around the house doing little ice skating.
Twirling around.
Yeah, kind of cute.
It's kind of crazy how they do that.
Oh my gosh.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to see some cool stuff. I saw Shaun White win his 3rd gold medal.
Whoa.
And that turned out to be the 100th gold medal for the U.S. for the Winter Olympics. So
Really?
that was cool.
Look at you with all this knowledge.
I know, right?
Hey, but you know what time it is?
No, what time is it?
It's time for the top 5.
So the 2018 Winter Olympics are here. Every 4 years, the world comes together and sends their best athletes to compete against each other in all sports, cold and icy.
Yeah, like snowball fights. I wish, right? Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be super fun.
Oh, wait, hold on. Kind of like in The Elf. You know, when he, like, makes all those snowballs really fast?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Who can make the fastest snowballs?
Yeah. There could also be, best snowball.
Yeah.
You know, like quality and the... Well, speaking of funny Olympic sports, that's actually what our top 5 is all about. There's been some strange events over the years. So in no particular order, here's our top 5 weirdest sports that used to be in the Olympics. Number 1, live pigeon shooting. Can you imagine the PETA protests on that one? This happened at the Paris Games in 1900. Only one time, though. Wonder why. Almost 300 birds were killed. Some Belgian guy gunned down 21 birds to win. The live birds have since been replaced with clay targets.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
That's awful.
Kind of weird.
That is kind of weird.
Strange.
Yeah.
Strange times, the 1900s.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, number 2. Tug of war was featured in 5 different Olympic games. Teams of 8 had 5 minutes to pull their opponent 6 feet over a line. If there were no winner after the time limit expired, the team who'd pulled their rivals the furthest would win.
Team USA Tug of War actually won gold at the 1904 games in St. Louis.
Oh, that's cool.
Moving on. Number 3. Here's another gym class kind of game, rope climbing. This was featured in 5 Olympics from 1896 to 1932. Athletes would start by sitting down and could only use their hands to climb up 49 feet of rope at the Athens Games in 1896, and then later on it was changed to just 25 feet.
At those same 1904 games in St. Louis, USA's George Iser won first place.
Interesting thing about George, he had a wooden leg. Yikes, right?
Wow, that's crazy. Did you know that he actually won 6 medals on that day?
No, I had no idea.
All right, Shane and Rachel here. You're listening to Centralia on Air. Right now, we're giving you the top 5 weirdest Olympic sports. All right, number 4, tandem bicycling. Now, this is actually still in the Paralympics, but only lasted until 1972 in the other Olympics. It's kind of funny, right? Normally, when you think about tandem bikes, it's all kind of like happy and relaxed and just like moving along with the person you love.
Yeah, but not this. This was sprints, wasn't it? Got to keep those pedals in sync, that's for sure.
Right.
Makes for some gnarly wrecks, I bet.
Yeah.
And last but not least, number 5, the dangerous, the deadly, croquet.
Croquet. Did you play croquet as
yeah,
a kid?
a couple times in my grandma's yard.
Yeah, me too. Okay, it appeared at the Olympics just once. It was in the 1900 Games in Paris. It's notable for being the first Olympic event to feature women, although they had to play against guys and not just other girls.
The home team, France, took the gold in all 4 categories, but the sport was removed from future games after reportedly only 1 spectator showed up to watch.
No.
Yeah. Lame.
Yeah, really. Okay, that's our top 5 weird sports that used to be in the Olympics. You're listening to Centralia on Air with Shane and Rachel. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the community calendar. Stick around. This is Centralia on Air.
Welcome back. This is Centralia on Air. Here's a look at your community calendar. The 5th Annual Tiger Trek 5K and 2.5K Dog Walk is on Saturday, February 24th, starting at 9 a.m. at Centralia Junior High. Registration forms may be found at CJHS.
Aviston American Legion is hosting a rummage sale on Thursday, February 22nd from 9 to 8, Friday, February 23rd from 9 to 8, and Saturday, February 24th from 9 to noon. There will be a bake sale and a quilt raffle.
The annual Breeze Lions Chicken Dinner is on Sunday, March 4th at the Breeze American Legion from 11 to 6, $10 for adults, $8 for kids. Tickets are available from any Breeze Lions Club member, and all proceeds will benefit sight and hearing impaired.
Centralia Junior High School is having a band fundraiser on Saturday, March 17th from 11 to 3 at the school. There will be a taco bar, laser tag, bounce house, cakewalk, and more.
Relay for Life is hosting a trivia night at the Centralia Historical Museum. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the competition begins at 7. There'll be 50-50 raffles, cash prizes, and a concession stand. $10 per person, 8 persons per table. Call Elaine at Winning Edge at 533-2393.
Okay, and a look at the local blood drives around the area. Thursday, February 20th at Carlisle High School from 9 to 2. Friday, February 21st at Salem Community Center from 12 to 6. Thursday, February 22nd at Sandoval Community School from 2:30 to 7. And don't forget to tune in to hear Orphans Basketball versus Marion on February 23rd. Ryan and Mike will have the call at 7:45.
That's a look at your community calendar on X95 and the Big 1210. If you have an event you'd like to share with us, you can email wiley1210@gmail.com. Or for more information about these events and others, check out our website, x95radio.com. That's our show this week. Enjoy yourselves, everybody. Have a great week. If you like what you hear, come back every Sunday at 11 on X95 and the Big 1210. You can also find past shows on YouTube at X95 Radio. She's Rachel Roddy.
And he's Shane Lothar.
And this was Centralia On Air.